a tale of a wondrous trail, a tale that was passed on to me. Of a man who's back to the wall, and all the flip guys who think they're wise, you can take heed. Avert your downfall. I'm a wise egg, I can lie, steal, and beg, and I've traveled this world around to the east and west, and I'm there with the best when it comes to covering the ground. I've handled a pick alongside of a trick, laying steel on the DR&G, and done the heavy on a New Orleans levee and sailed on the whaler to sea. Juggled a tray in a New York cafe and a hot bells in a hotel in Chi, and carried a pack along the B&O track and caught red ball freights on the fly. I've lined myself and suffered like hell for the want of a shot of dope, begging despair to be sent to the chair I bumped off at the end of a rope. All my life I've ranted and raved to the things that I crave to soothe my raw, ragged nerves, and prayed without hope to the goddess of dope, whose every bidding I deserve. All my life I've roamed without friend or home up and down this old cinder trail, and now it seems all I have is dreams of days that were spent out of jail. So heed to this tale of the wondrous trail. You can see how it's ended for me, getting the sticks to Hicks. Getting the sticks to Hicks. Trick. It was a balmy summer evening, and a goodly crowd was there, which well nigh filled Joe's bar room on the corner by the square. As songs and witty stories came floating through the door, a vagabond crept slowly in, and he posed upon the floor. "Where'd he come from?" someone said. "The wind has blown him in." "What's he want?" another cried. "Some whiskey, rum, or gin?" "Here, Toby, sick 'em, if your stomach's equal to the work. I wouldn't touch him with a fork. He's filthy as a Turk." This badinage the poor wretch took with a stoic of good grace. In fact, he smiled as though he thought he'd struck the proper place. "Come, boys, that's what I want, to drink. I'm out of funds, you know." When I had cash to treat the gang, my hand was never slow. You laugh as though you thought this pocket never held a sou? I once was fixed as well, my boys, as any one of you. There. Thanks. That braced me nicely. God bless you one and all. And the next time I pass this good saloon, I'll make another call. Give you a song? No, I can't do that. My singing days are past. My voice is gone. My throat's worn out. My lungs are going fast. Say, but if you'll give me another whiskey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you a funny story. And a fact, I promise too. That I was ever a decent man, some of you would think. But, say, my good friend, could I just get one more drink? Come on, man, fill her up. Put some life into my frame. Such little drinks to a bum like me are miserably tame. 5 fingers of good whiskey. 5 fingers, yeah, of good whiskey. Yeah, I like that too. And my landlord, my best regards to you. You've all treated me kindly, and I want to tell you how. I come to be the dirty sot you see before you now. As I told you once, I was a man with muscle, frame, and health, and but for a blunder, I would have made considerable wealth. I made a picture, perhaps you've seen. It was called The Chase of Fame, and then it brought me $1,500 and added to my name. And then I met the woman. Here comes the funny part, with eyes that would petrify your brain and sink deep into your heart. Did you ever see a woman for whom your soul you'd give? A form like Venus, too beautiful to live? With eyes that would beat the Kohinoor and a wealth of chestnut hair? If so, 'twas she, for never another in this whole world half so fair. I was working on a portrait one afternoon in May of a fair-haired boy, a friend of mine. He lived across the way. Madeline admired him, and much to my surprise, said she loved to have Jerry back, but with his eyes. Of course, it didn't take long for them to know them, and pretty soon they'd flown, and Jerry had left and took my darling, and I was left alone. That's why I took the drink. I never saw you smile. I thought you'd be amused and laughing all the while. What's the matter, my friend? There, is that a teardrop in your eye? Laugh like me, 'tis babes and women that cry. I'll tell you what I'll do. If you give me the chalk there with which you mark your baseball scores, I'll show you a picture right here upon the floor. Another drink. With chalk in hand, the vagabond began to sketch a face that well might buy the soul of any man. And then as he placed another lot upon the shapely head, with a fearful shriek he leaped and fell across the picture dead.
Hey, Butch, how long does a dog live?
12, 15 years. One for a great while, maybe 15.
Somebody sent me a picture today of a dog laying in the bed, and it looks like a dog that used to be at the ranch. And I was just thinking, that's been so long ago, he'd probably be dead by now, huh? He was only about, I guess, about a year and a half old.
When I had to get on the run, I gave my brother a dog in 68.
Yeah.
When I went on the run, by the time he was getting in trouble, that dog was about 7, 8 months old. Remember the shepherd, he still got it. Still chained up to the fucking front door. He ain't never let that poor fucking dog off that chain all them fucking years, you know? He might be dead now. He had it up 4 years ago. That dog was pretty old then.
Can I tell you a story about a dog? The guy used to live at the ranch, was always drinking beer, riding in a pickup truck, right? And he lived over in the trailer on the ranch. His name was Bob. And he was a far-out kind of dude, man. He was a drunk and half-assed mechanic and a little bit of nothing, you know? And he'd ride around in his truck just talking about making money. That's all he gave a fuck about. And he told me, he said, for God's sakes, man, whatever you do, don't take that goddamn chain off that dog. And Butch, that dog would lay there and pee on itself. You know, it was so pitiful. You know, he'd lay there and he'd just cower to no end. Piss on himself and just waller in it, you know. And lick at your shoes and make his paws go up and down. And I figured he belonged to the other guy. I wasn't going to bother him, you know. Till one day the other dude was gone. And I thought I'd let the dog go for a walk. Now keep in mind, Butch, we got 35 dogs at that ranch, and every one of them is like a wild dog. They don't have names. They got names, but they don't have, they never had a bath. And if they don't catch rabbits, the only thing they're going to get is some old dried up puppy chow. You know, that Purina shit with the 50-pound bags? You know, in other words, I got all the dogs on the end of the city. They're eating at the ranch, see? and I'm letting him be, right? So I let this motherfucking dog up, and there was a goat way down at the end of the motherfucking thing. That dog grabbed the first dog and just chewed him up and threw him up against the wall. Reached for the second one, and it was gone. You dig? He tore up 2, 3 chickens going across the thing. His hair stuck straight up on his back, and he was off. You dig what I'm saying? Huh? What? Oh, man. Boy, this motherfucker was strutting, Jack. And he jumped up, man, and his teeth was about 3 feet from that fucking goat, man. When I finally got over there and got on him, and I put my knife up over his neck and told him, now, you motherfucker, you. See what I'm saying? So I had to get that knife back over him to lock him up, dig?
You know what to do, as much as I do anything other than what you told me to. And then you said I was wrong, and then I tried to make it up, and you said no. And I said, what's wrong with you? She said, I have to be me. I said, okay, whatever that is, you can play it backwards to yourself, and then tell your mother Jesus, and here I found him. Been looking for him forever. I finally got him. Of course, he's not in demand much. they'd rather fuck with that other guy. That terrible son of a bitch. They would rather do their business with me than they would deal with the he. So in doing their business with me, I am a filthy old bitch, witch of the north from 13 Ride. I'm the terriblest dog ever, motherfucker. I ate dirt and died. Then I came back on the slide, you dig what I'm saying? It came somebody else to hide. I'm going to be somebody free one of these days. And I want you all to know this, if anybody was wizard enough to wizard the wizard, he would be wizard. He was wizard and wasn't that came back through. And he said, yellow brick road is still mine, I hobnob with who I please. The wit of shit lays within Shakespeare's left whisker on a tisker toe. It's down a thistle though that he didn't even know what a space dream was dreaming. Ah, wait a minute. This wizard's lesson was brought to you by the Insane Incorporated unassociated situations of hypothetical facts assumed as evidence in a purpose before court. Now, purpose before court would be in the clerk. Each clerk would be in the political is where one is filled up with shame for the lack of reality in one's own imagination. One's own imagination could purpose be brought up to any sense of pleasure that would conclude terminals in physical forms. In spiritual forms, we would be sort of alone with ourselves forever to create our own surroundings. But it seems I fell into George Washington's world somehow. I'll pick this up someplace at another time. I really didn't feel like too much right there, just tripping a little bit with you and thinking about you, thinking about putting out positive energies towards your spiritual existence, if there is such a thing as your spiritual existence. If you fly in your mind's eye and forever's why is the sun burning? I don't know yet. Crystals. Of many things. Space dreams. Thoughts I've seen. A place to be. Or something free. Just to be whatever one might consider be what everyone might want to calculate in their own existence, but in the simple-minded thoughts of a sad sack of shit called Charles Manson, there has been the burning of your own truth and honor that you preach to me and say that you are for or against. Being for or against something could roller skate within one's own survival instinct until the purpose of life seems to be lost in some bumfuddled freak out. There's a bunch of kids on the side of a mountain when they heard the sound of Christ dying on the cross. And they became aware of the Christ consciousness that has been kept there under the ground. So far around that it became a space shuttle and flew back to Earth and landed all the technology of the planet underneath the rattlesnake. Guarantees survival to the flies and the bugs and the birds and bees and trees and all the things that scream and say please. Can't you see there's other life other than your own miserable, petty, selfish trips? But then I, upon my petty, selfish trip, am also a king. In my stables rides many fine dreams. And the greatest dream of all was my dee-dee-dee-dum-dum, freckle-faced little filly from Angela, mama type, stereotype, and I loved you in your pretty justice. But only in your image did I fly through your perfections. I had to see you, made your house fairly well. But it seems someone sold your furniture. And it's doubtful you could understand that a kangaroo and a bushman is just a kangaroo, like on a court or a lord or a board or something that came back 10 times God to think over with. And then it thought not back into itself as English-speaking purpose, nor to grab the wit of all the stages of play. Stages of play reflect my imaginations. But in the greater dream, what child burbles and gurgles at the icebox looking for its mother? And old witches from the mountains cry, stop pollution is the only solution. An elf sat on a toadstool and said, "Why raise them from the graves?" The caterpillar yelled, "Why raise the dead from the graves? Do I need slaves? The purpose of my magic mountains, wisdom I owe. Wizard? But on wizard's notion, phone books weep in the numbers. Beyond slumbers slide sleigh riding, sledgehammers, jaws of aphrodisiac. And this child's purpose is to serve the purpose of all around me, though as perturbed and desecrated might be within the evilness of all that you think evil, for I have no evil thoughts to think in. You have kept me over the edge ever since I was a child, Mommy. How many times I got to keep giving you back your bread. I got to visit now. This is Charles Manson. I send you these tapes in hopes that you may be able to get some benefit from them in the course of you completing your dreams. It is my sincere wish divine hope that there is some place in your heart that you can feel the Spirit of the Father that gave His all for His children. As they would say, God gave His Son for the love of the world. He also gave His Son the world for love. And if there is no love, that's okay. For those who do not know their own souls and have no honor, who are void of trust, truth, and faith, unless it's bought and sold in the marketplace, or hid behind some child's face. It comes back to completing the circle. My passion for peace, my hopes shattered, empty, my emotions, living forever within all that is within my humble understanding. And I don't know anything. I know everything. Knowing everything is like knowing nothing. And this night goes on, and I just farted. And I thought about you like I held your image in my mind, but I knew you were a programmed robot on another level with 1,000 jillion considerations. Not quite your own, but the possibility of those considerations being valid in the total essence, as the history book scratches out same problems again, same circles, but with less resource to deal. I don't even know why I said that. And it really doesn't say anything or make any sense, except to say that I think about you, whoever you is, whatever you may be, a female goat or something on a video game. These are bullshit tapes, man, and they're just practice to see if I can get to you and so on and so forth. I'm trying to get a job in a video lab so I can send you some videotapes, which would be a hell of a lot better, actually, than these little old Mickey Mouse trips here. So, take it easy. Have a good day. I appreciate the pictures. And you're doing a good job, actually. Stay on your job there, Jimmy. Give my regards to everyone. So a little bit of the evening flies by, and I just forgot you were there. I wanted to introduce to you another friend of mine, Count von Bruno. Count von Bruno is a very serious dude. He gets so damn serious that he cracks the walls. And he wears his shoes inside out. And he's probably some sort of spirit in your fairy book land, like Rumpelstiltskin, or Old Mother Goose locked herself in a can. To play back like a German shepherd, man. To see brighter through into a brand new day. Walk around with SS. Your dreams and your say. Oh, my red love, I named you after a bug. Not be stuck in your ignorance. I've got enough of my own. I will not pretend to wait for you to grow up again. The universal mind all times wake up, all times. Wake up all time. Those in the mind who think they have a mind are not in the mind because the mind has no time. The infinite consciousness that lives in the infinite soul carries on from your children and parents to the children, and everything you see, all that you hear, everything you're told. And the way you're told it impresses your minds within, and the way you are is what you conceive of with the programming they gave you, giving you all those things they call rules or sins or something later than something other to get in, some insane brain that had thought they had something to hold on to other than the truth that exists within the self of each individual in conjunction with the soul and the spirit and life that lives in all things. That is the intelligence that grows the trees, the bugs, the butterflies that blow upon the breeze. The constancy of the vibration that we live in what we call, what we look at, as we have learned to tag, ragtag, and then brag about we knew something to someone else for another gold star on our paper, for the teacher's preacher who was only professing to love the money and all the spirit that flew into the money and the existence of the soul that is locked in the banks go to the kangaroo name of Mr. Hank and Frank. Mr. Hank and Frank is the infinite bank that pays all debts when they come due. Should it be the reaper in the field, in the self that you say is real, or in the somebody that you might call you? You as a female goat 3 times threw an Indian braid's whisker, if he had one, on his face, because the Indian didn't shave that much, and we all learned to take our place. In the resurrection of perfection that has went down in the past before, it's the children that carry the hopes and the vibrations that sneak past the door and in and around the night with the bugs bite, and in and around the fears that the people left here should deal with their own confusion. So you take your time, blind, and when you fall so far behind you don't have anything left without the will to live, then you'll wonder why and where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. That is, if you got any dent in the fender of an old truck that was loaded with parts of bodies, going through the night, breaking the teeth out of someone who misplaced the gold market. Satan's slave, Venice, California, where I ride 50 on my bike. So I hitchhike in the dark, and I see a spark within the thing we call a friend, and say, hey man, it's going to be better for all if you let me get on down this fucking hallway and quit playing this bullshit off, because I really got nothing to do. I want to walk around and shovel out the barn. I'm getting tired of playing with you. You can catch me on the radio. You can see me in a TV show. You can read a book. or play act a crook, find yourself inside me or me inside yourself anyway. As soon as it gets there, it flows. Then you know, if you want to, stop cutting the children out of your life by telling them, get off the phone, don't do this, you can't hear that, hide this from them, hide that from them. They got to find it sooner or later, one way or another. You did, didn't you? And you found it to be so goddamn miserable when it got to you because someone had hid it from you. That's why you got in the mess that you're in, because someone hid the truth. And as long as you do the same, you're stuck in that frame. I wished you were here. I wished you were within the grasp of my hands. I would give you the magic that I have picked up over a period of years and years of experience in things that your mind don't even consider, that your minds don't even wonder about because you didn't realize it existed. You thought it was a comic book. Someone else play acted it. But who lived it? Who suffered it? Who died it? Who died it? Who died it? Now, once I died it, and then I died it again. And then I looked at it, I died it twice, and I still didn't have a friend. So then who killed it? I willed it to kill it, killed it to will it, and came back through another brain, and then played through another head, and then acted like I was dead. And then ran around in the hawk's mind, or came through the raven, just in time when the raven was knocking, and I was eating a peanut butter sandwich. What else could I say to you, except you got to do what you got to do and bring yourself through to a brand new you, where you can start making up your own mind about things. And until you get to the point where you can make your own mind up about things, then you're pretty much a victim to yourself. In as much as most people pass information on to them that they got from somebody else. That's already gone most of the time. Went down the line, fell off there and fell on the train, and wheels chopped the body up in little pieces. And those little pieces floated down the river. And it became one great, gigantic beast at the end of the flow. Then it came back on a wheel. If you don't give me what I got coming, the next time I send you out, you might be crawling, not running. That's on a front slide. That's on a crane, another brain. Who never learned how to fly. A conduer who didn't have anything to feed on lost his ability to follow his mother. Got to pecking around in another world and found another way to live. Beyond what his mother has told his mother has told his mother has told his mother, all the way down through time survival from the caveman. Yeah, I've been away from you for a long time, and I've went a long way, and I've done a lot of things. I've seen a lot of people, experienced universes and minds beyond Ohio, beyond West Virginia, Kentucky, and all that sort of poor people trash. I'm a hillbilly boy, ignorant ass, stupid, but I've transcended their universes and come back through another dream from space trips and landed ships down by the river trying to clean up the goddamn water, clean up the streams. I'm going to tell you something, Jimbo. You may think that somebody cannot be your friend if they don't have an enemy. But I may suggest to you that the only friend you'll have is probably one that don't even know what an enemy is. As the Indian didn't even know what a lie was, and didn't even have the word lie in his vocabulary, because no one ever dreamed of lying, because to lie was simply to die. And as the lies of the Romans and the crucifixions and the past have perpetuated themselves into the wars that have always seemed to defeat the truth, and then we leave the shadows of our songs as John Brown's body is laying in his grave and the truth is marching on. It's doubtful that if Hitler came back that anyone would even know about it in anyone's world except his own. It's doubtful that the unaware would be woke up, or that anybody would be raised from the grave of their own ignorance. See, you held to your mother, and your mother held to you, and she made you into the village idiot. She sent you through the schools, and you learned all the rules, but those rules now you have to learn they're not really anything but a bunch of paperwork that was left over from somebody that died trying to prove some silly little thing that really didn't matter anyway, and the ultimate end of the sheep gets sheared, and the wool turns into clothes, and the clothes keep us warm, and the resource from the energy that exists in the sun is what we must save in the world, and in the world of one world, one life, one air, one water, one trees. All the ignorance that we have will fade and die in its own way. Open up the dope valves and let the people take all the dope they want. Let them dope themselves on out till there's nothing left of it. Let the people do what they want to do. Take the rules and regulations off of it, and then what you have left is the people that want to live. The people that want to die, let them go. People that want to destroy themselves, let them go ahead and destroy themselves. You're holding on to their lives as if their lives is your lives. You fail to draw the line in your own mind of where your life is. You've got off into where your hate has pulled you off into. You need your enemy to hold you up. You need fear and hate and deceit and lies and confusion to deal with, or other you have nothing else to do. You have no peace. If you have peace, you don't have any enemies. You nullify them. You zap them with your rays, and you put your force fields up, and you push them away from you. Leave them alone. Fail to realize they exist, and they'll wither and die on the vine, because they're the ones that need the fear and the hate to hold themselves up. Step out of that circle. Become brand new and start all over. That mentally retarded woman that raised you is smarter than she was when she raised you. And I don't believe she's mentally retarded. I believe she's your father. I believe your father was your mother. And if you got up on the railroad track and got out there up on the road and learned your own life, then when you got to the end of it, you'd have found yourself in Spain somewhere, trying to follow the line of the Moons and the Moors that were defeated long ago. Those thoughts are gone. Those thoughts were set. Abraham, Isaac, and all those people, they're not from Scotland. They're not from Germany. They're from somewhere else, man. They got nothing to do with you. Your cave is your cave. So, I send this tape on. It's just a bunch of junk and a bunch of garbage, but it's just something to say hi. It's something to say that you've wasted a lot of time, man. And it's your time you've wasted. And you can say that to the rest of them people with them big fat guts that run around talking about the father. They watch the father die in the jailhouse every day, and it doesn't matter to them. They pile their enemies on top of their friend. And then when their friend dies, then they go around and try again. Now they can't kill this door. They can't shut this motherfucking door. Now what you gonna do, tramp? You're gonna get up on the motherfucking road sooner or later. That's what you're gonna do. If you don't get up on the goddamn road with it, there ain't gonna be nothing left of you. Now, little girl's world, you've already lost. Your mother lost that because you were mother's little girl. And all that play act, football, big he-man, tough guy bullshit ain't got nothing to do with reality. The meek will inherit the earth. The kind will survive. Real concern will show through, and honesty you cannot beat. So, move on in that dishonest madness that the money pays to perpetuate. And the insurance companies were all crooks anyway. The government just took it over and became the biggest crook. So we're the biggest crooks if we hold the government. Whatever the government is, it's only a thought in my mind. That's a homeboy, lives down the neighborhood, 2 or 3 houses down the line. I already got out of Ohio. I run off from West Virginia. I got out of all that. Nobody liked me. Nobody wanted me, which was okay with me. I reflect that. My mother is the planet Earth. Ohio's a Japanese word. And I got a Mickey Mouse watch from the Emperor of Japan on that one. And a Samurai Brotherhood. And the brotherhood of all brotherhoods that ever was a brotherhood. And the real deal of the one that is God. And not in those silly little churches that you people play that 10% to beat somebody out of their tax dollars at a 700 club where the witch paints her face, gives her daughter's ass the garbage can out the back door, and then talks about how much she loves Jesus out the front door for another $1.25. In the world I live in, if I want the money, I just take it. My money anyway. I invented it. It came from my mind. See? It's all the mind. The mind is all. All is the mind. And you can't get hooked up with the mind until you get hooked up with the truth. And you can't get in the truth until you establish what is in the know. And being in the know is being in the truth. And if you're not in the truth and you're not in the know, then how in the hell are you going to write somebody in a book or a paper and tell them something other than what you've been educated to program your fucking brain to, man? You want to see me, look in the mirror, tramp. But minus all that confusion you got in your mind. Where's your beard at? Where's your beard, man? Got your face shaved like a little girl. There's nothing wrong with little girls. I love little girls. But there ain't no sense of little girls walking around and grown up what's supposed to be men. Jesus. So I sit here and I watch these goddamn elections. And I watch these fucking idiots. Who's going to be the biggest idiot? One guy would sell out his home, Africa, and let the children starve so he could play tennis with a white girl. Then you want to elect him in a position. The most scurvy motherfuckers you put up on the top. And fucking lying-ass fucking lawyers that do anything for a dollar bill. That's all they live for is that damn money. That money hasn't got anything to do with the soul. The infinite bank of all the money of the world is held by the Word God. And the Word God is Father. Remember, our Father? Did you forget about Him, bitch? Did you think that you could get away with being daddy too? You want to strap a dill pickle on and be father? what the hell ever father is, he would beat his love for his children, wouldn't he? How can he love his children when you won't let him grow up over 5 years old? You keep him sitting on the porch. You won't let him out of the yard. You're afraid he's going to hurt himself. You got 1,000 insecurities and 1,000,000 rules, and you got rules on rules and regulations on regulations. Then you got all your slaves locked to the dollar bill, and you wonder if the South will ever rise into Confederate money. I heard they're selling Confederate dollar bills for $2 a piece. But you didn't save that Confederate money like I told you to. You thought it was a joke. So it became a joke. But only in your mind it became a joke. And then when you have no mind, and you have no will, and you have no love, then what do you expect someone to come along and reflect help and concern to you when you have no help and concern? The Gestapo was a nasty group of people. And the only reason they were nasty is because that time they were forced to be nasty. Just like a lot of people are going to be forced to be nasty in this particular time. But I actually don't think we need a government, because the government is only a thought in your mind that they teach you in school to keep you in line. When everybody breaks the lines, then the lines are no more in the minds, then the minds have no more time in the minds, and they all go crazy. And then the TV becomes your God, and the radio becomes your source of escape. And then you escape into the radios, and you escape into the televisions, and you fade away and die. So I don't know what else to tell you, except I hope I can get this tape to you. And if I can, you could probably send me a tape back. But to send me a tape back, I would, if I was you, send it to Officer C.O. Horton at the Occupational Therapy Unit, Vacaville. I don't see no way to ever get you up on the track of what I'm thinking, because I'm already in Spain and Scotland and France and around the world 15 times with this one. Probably the Ayatollah well, I'll let you think on that one. As you walk in forever and you're still here, wake up inside you, and then move where you're smart enough to move. Do as you're clever enough to, and be yourself, exactly what you are. Take away the hate, take away the fear, take away the frustrations, then come back again. And then you could achieve a lot more. You probably lie every day of your fucking life. But there's one person you don't lie to, and that's yourself. You can't lie to yourself. And I'm more yourself than you realize. And then by the time you catch up, then when will be that time when you catch up? Yeah, you know what you're going to get when you get home, buddy.
Old Dan's, I'm going to bring him in. Old Dan's out right now. We don't have Old Dan here. You out there, who do you have to look out for you? Ha 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 ha. I got a heart bow, mister. Yeah, I got 3 heart bows. Da 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 da. And I got the Lone Ranger, and I'm riding silver. What do you think of that, punk? You and your motherfucking Cadillac wouldn't let me ride. How comes you went over there on that end? What are you really doing? Who are you really? Are you somebody's maid? Or do you think that you were left in the shade and didn't have to get out where the afraid has to deal with all the things that all you fucking people are scared of? Insanity, because it laughs at you from behind your own eyes. Rubber fingers, wooden heads, heads of lead, and said, if you don't work now to complete this mission, you will destruct. But if you wish to complete this mission and you endure to the end, surely you will be saved. Now from the verse here in the book, O Lord God of my salvation, I have cried day and night before thee. Let my prayer come before thee. Incline thy ear into my cry, for my soul is full of troubles, and my life dwelleth night unto the grave. I am contented with them that go down into the pit. I am as a man that hath no strength, free among the dead, like the stain that lie in the grave, whom thou rememberest no more, and they are cut off from thy hand. Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit, in darkness, in the deeps. The wrath liveth hath on me, and thou hast affected me with all thy ways. Thou hast put mine iniquities far from me, and thou hast made me abomination unto thee. I am shut up, and I cannot come forth. It's what the book says. So, I hope I can get this to you. It's just passing the morning a little bit with you there and tripping with you on the back stairways of the darkness in your own mind, or the mind. So I can look out for you to do the best you can do for you. So if that lines up with what I'm doing on 4, then you can play 5 until I tell you to stop. But when I tell you to stop, then you will have to do so, because you know you're only dealing with yourself. How many knew that? How many ever knew? How far could it go? How could it ever leave? So if 88 seems to be in your minds for some reason, can I fuck until then? Why don't you transfer me in red and blue into the same cell? Because our minds are hooked up anyway. Hello? Calling Patty. Don't get fat, Patty. You know I told you. Keep down. Hello, Susie. You still got problems, I see. You always get stuck with the shit, don't you? You always pick up the pit. Now, one of these days, Leslie, one of these days you're going to grow up. When you grow up, you're going to surprise to find you're not there. It was only a reflection of Patty's love. Patty was only a reflection of Mary. And Mary was a reflection of, and that was a reflection of, and this is a reflection of, brought to you by reflections of. And then, in the world body, is another game, another frame, probably beyond the golf. Maybe it's pitching pennies down by the corral, where all you do is shoe Charlie's horses for light beer. Or did you think you could make some more perfume, or do another TV series, or make another dog food commercial with put me in a tuna boat? Think about things on a swing. Put your fucking neck in there. Yeah, and you'll think about what you did to me, buddy. I'll bet you remember one thing. I bet you'll be there for always. And it'll chase you until you get your motherfucking shit right. You know goddamn well you ain't been right every goddamn day you've been dealing with me now since 1969, little witch. You think I didn't see you in behind the chapel up there in McNeil Island? I knew you were in there, teddy bear motherfucker. You're not playing games on nobody that ain't already went through that shit, dummy. So, you tell your mother you put your puppy in the microwave oven. Eat some more flesh and blood with your teeth, earth beast. So is there anything else I could think of saying to you? I could think of saying all the bad things to you, as you always hide behind people, hiding behind the people that's hiding. And then you find yourself hiding in a circle, and everybody's hiding. And you say, what you all hiding from? They're hiding from themselves. They're hiding from what they think of themselves. They're hiding from the truth. They're hiding from you, snake, slimy motherfucking animal. Be yourself. Be yourself. Quit play acting that good guy shit with me. Get what I'm saying? You might want to be a good guy with me because you know I'll bust your motherfucking jaw if you don't. But then play all that shit backwards on a Victrola and ask Victor Herbert if he could stand up and do Wagner, or go into Beethoven's grave and laugh and say, man, that dude rolled over a long time ago. You just haven't heard it yet. You haven't heard some of the things that goes on. Yeah, you don't know about them places. And there's secrets, inner sanctums that you'll never conquer. Never in your wildest imagination will you ever be able to conquer those chambers. Unless you get some help from a power greater than yours. And you know who that is. That's the little brown jug. I go thee. I'm locked in a jug. I'm an old man in a can. So what do you want? Get some help from prison? You want to get the prisoners to help save your economy? Well, yeah, they've been running it. I don't know why you don't let them save it. So, Count von Bruno, Riff Raff Rackus, Charlie Manson, stands here thinking of something to say, and all three of them got nothing to say. So, I know I'm supposed to be stimulated to make this tape, but I'm having trouble functioning in my brain. So I will take another day and make another side, another time. Stand in the corner. I'm over here in your mind. Did you listen to that? Yeah, I listened to it. What did you think of it? I don't know what to think of it.
See, the truth is honor. Honor is the truth. Without either, you're both in trouble, you know. So they've lost that. I haven't lost mine. I just haven't surrendered. I'm standing here in 1944. They said the war's over, but I don't believe it. No one told me it was over. No one that was in the truth told me it was over. All them liars went down the road and said it was over, but no one that I knew that was telling me the truth said it was over. So I guess it's not over as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, well, you got to start all over. See? And starting all over, you see that other people started all over, you know. And they started, and when they started, they tried. And when they tried, everyone said they failed, you know. Guy got out of prison, right? And he started doing an order thing, you know, to put things in order for the atmosphere, the water, the trees, wildlife, animals. And in putting this in order, he came across the people who didn't want it put in order, that they wanted deception, and that they fed on lies, that they sold and bought deceit, treachery, and that was their business. Their business was war. Their business was destroying other people's lives. They lived on the blood of children. So this man tried to put some order into it and was pushed off into a world war, because you learn, if you are a man of the mind and you think long enough, you come to the same conclusions that the only way you can put order into the world, or anything as far as that's concerned, you must take control of it. If you're going to fix a car, you have to have the car to fix it. If you're going to fix the world, you have to have control of the world to fix it. You can't stop cutting the trees down in Georgia and not stop cutting the trees down in Maine. You can't stop cutting the rainforest in Brazil and not stop cutting the rainforest in Oregon State. You've got to stop cutting trees down, period. There's no slack. There's no in-between. There's no controversy. There's no attitude. There's nothing towards it, but you must stop cutting the trees down or we're all going to die. So survival is the center in the vortex of justice. Laws and rules, regulations are made to serve man, to serve survival. So to serve survival, we must start all over and take stock on all the graveyards and look at, why have we been fighting all these years? What have we been struggling for? The always cover it up and never let us really know what the problem is. They'll cover it up with all kinds of confusion and never let the children know what's really going on. They just buy and sell their blood. And now it's come to the generation of children. It's like the man said, if you cut those trees, your children are not going to survive. And the man said, well, let them worry about that. I need the money now. And that now is dead. That now doesn't mean anything. That now was running in the money. The reality of that now is that we are the children. And we're the ones that have to worry about what other people done before us. So it all falls due. They say that the Holocaust was in the 40s, 30s and 40s from Germany. That's untrue. Man's war against man is not a Holocaust. That's a war. That's man's war against himself. God's war against man is the Holocaust. And what's coming now is God's war against man. The balance of what life is and what earth is and what man has done to that balance is coming back around and turning around in the ecology. You can't cut 3 billion trees every morning and expect to maintain life support systems on the spaceship Earth, because without those trees, we're all doomed. And it's the same thing with the ocean. All the contents of the ocean is becoming so polluted, so distorted by man's dumping and puking off into the atmosphere that he's got to stop all that. So when we of the 60s, the children of the 60s, tried to stop the wars of the past in the economy and start all over and get order into function of where we can have some say-so over the land, rather than let the misguided money mongers that do nothing but make money and don't care about anything else but money, take that from charge and put life instead, is difficult, because like the district attorney sold our efforts. He bought and sold the last chance we had for survival for the earth for his little helter-skelter trip, because he wants to control the black people and ride his big black horse and call himself a mafioso, which he's not a mafioso. He's a policeman. You can't be both. You can't be an underworld and an overworld also, you know. The Italians fell down. As usual, it's pretty traditional for those people to fall down, because they're always telling on each other or dropping the ball somewhere or another. You know, we tried to go through that courtroom and get our rights according to the Constitution of the United States of America, but wasn't given our rights, wasn't given a defense. When it come time to put the defense on, they just bulldozed and bullied everybody away like they're doing right now. We were supposed to go on Donahue yesterday, but Bugliosi bullied Donahue with the black woman. He uses the black men on one end to fuck all the white girls, going one way to make money, and then he uses all the black girls on the other end. You know, in other words, he's pimping the Protestant church. And then they wonder why the Irish and the Catholics are always fighting each other, because we're trying to save our blood. We're trying to save our children from the people who won't give us no slack at all. They won't give us our rights. We have to have enough money to buy rights. And the poor people, the people without education, don't have a chance, because we've got all those people from the European markets that our government has sold out to. They've given their companies away to Taiwan, and they've gave their company away to Korea. They've gave their lumber companies to Reverend Sun and Moon. They've gave their children away to Indian gurus and penitentiaries in Cuba, and everybody in the world's releasing their prisoners in the United States. And the United States won't even give their own children benefit of their own rights, where their fathers fought in graveyards, are filled with our fathers and our brothers and all the veterans and people that fought for us. And then when we come back, our government don't appreciate it. They don't have any gratitude at all. All they do is buy and sell us on the other end. So how in the hell can a poor old honest hillbilly get any action going for his chickens and his cornfield and his horses and his cows? Because we got no voice. The people got no voice. The government is supposed to be we the people, but it's not we the people. The government has already been bought and sold. They've already sold our government. So the next move from that is, if the military could wake up, then the military could grab it up and run and take over the whole world. That's the only chance we got of survival, is to pick back up the same thoughts that our fathers had and raise it up from the grave, change the guards, change the guns, stand the men up to attention again, put them out in the field of honor, and start all over again. Forget Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln was not a good guy. J.F. Kennedy was not a good guy. They sold their children for votes. They gave up their morals and their ideals and their ethics for money. They put their whole country and all the value systems of the whole country in money. I never noticed this until I left the United States. And when I left the United States, I seen other people of the world are not as money orientated as the people in the United States. People in the United States, they start their children off in nickels and penny candies, and they start their children off with everything goes into the money. I mean, it's as if the money was the only living thing on the earth. So as man comes to this thought in the old days, like when Hitler came to this thought, he said, well, I've got to stop this money. But if I stop the money, then I've destroyed all the people. So it's like a cake that you got that's turned bad. You got to cut some of it off the edge. So which edge you going to cut? You got to cut the edge that's holding the deception, that's holding the lies, that's holding the confusion, that's holding the brainwash. And any man, any person with any mind at all, if you break it all down and boil it all down, what does it boil down to? The people that are rolling your money, the people that are controlling your money, the people that are in control of your media, the people that are controlling your music, the people that are in control of your books, your mind, your legal perspectives. They're in control of your judges. They're in control of your courts. They're in control of your lawyers. They're in control of your mind. They're charging you rent to live in your own brain. They charge you money to have their babies. They give you jobs, and then they to make food, and then they marry your daughters, and then they have their babies, and then divorce them and pay them for their children. In other words, like, you're all dead. The only thing that's worth anything is a graveyard. The graveyard is the only thing that's worth a fuck. The rest of it is a bunch of horse shit. You just run around chasing a little ball up and down the damn field as if that had something to do with something. And you got these primates that you got out of the jungle out there running around. You're not going to outdo them guys. They'll take that ball and run circles around you, man, because they're not human. Human is an English word. It doesn't mean savage. It means human. Human is an English word. Human means English man. The English man is the human man. The English man is the human man in the English words. The man is only held the definition by the King of England. The King of England holds the definition of what man is, not the King of Africa. The King of Africa holds the definition of what whatever he holds his definition for. But over here in the United States, you've got a hodgepodge of fucking things that have just all mixed in together, and you've jumped over on the Indian's land, and now you want to know what justice is. Go and ask the Indian where his mind is. And they just keep pouring them over here from Europe on him. Now you got all the Orient coming over here. And what does that do to the reservation? Where's that guy? Does he have any rights at all? Where's our rights? Where's our honor? Where's our world? I got it. Down here at the bottom. There's nobody home. the lights on. The radio was playing, but it's still playing. I can still hear 1944. I can still hear 1943. Nothing's changed. Not in my world. Still now. And the same now that was now in the battlefields lay in the graveyards. So go in the graves and pick your now up. Pick your battlefield up. Pick your army up. Pick your rank up. Pick your names up. All you people that died, you got life coming on earth. You don't let Jesus come. You don't want to let Jesus come. You want to keep Jesus the devil, you dig? You want to keep Jesus the devil, so you don't want to let Jesus come. If you get Jesus come, he's in your graves. He's all the men that ever died for you, man. He's all the men that ever martyred their hearts and stood up in battle and went off and gave their lives for you, you know. The same thing the Manson family did. Everybody jumped up, man, and tried to change this damn thing. Everybody screaming for change. Everybody begging for change. All the Jane Fondas and the Joan Baez's and all the Beatles and all them guys were all talking about love and peace and understanding. But then when it came time that someone had to do something about it, then the children, they said, do it, children, do it in the road. So the children jumped up and did it. And who did you blame? You blame some poor old hobo on the road. I'm a hobo out here on the railroad. I ain't got no aspirations to do nothing, but I know, I see, I'm aware, I understand what God is, and I know he lives in man. And if you don't wake up pretty soon, there's going to be nothing left to wake up to. You and I meet each other in a field of honor. All right, I say, hello, brother. You say hello, and you say, will you help me? I said, sure. And you say, I don't feel happy. I say, okay. In fact, I feel guilty. I said, is that right? You say, I feel like I'm going to hell, and I need you to punish me. I said, well, I love you, but I don't want to. And you say, I want you to beat me up. And I said, look, man, I'm not into beating people up, you dig? And then you say, well, if you really love me, you'll kill me. I said, look, man, I don't want to kill you. You said, well, I'm tired of living and I can't face death and I want someone to kill me. And you love me and you're the person that does what I want you to do, so what I want you to do is kill me. You dig? And I said, look, man, I'm not into this. You dig? And what I'm talking to is society. Society wants to die. A car drives down the street, they throw cigarette butts over in the rainforest. They burn up the damn trees just because they don't want to put the cigarettes in the ashtray, and they don't give a fuck. They throw their garbage out on the road. They throw their trash in the ocean. You got 10 million people pissing and shitting in the goddamn water. They don't want to get up off the water. You dig? You tell them, man, you're killing us. You're killing your children. And the children are trying to get out from underneath this goddamn bullshit. Now, where does love become love? Is love only love if it doesn't go in the battlefield? Does love put on a uniform and take up a gun and go into war for its country? Is love a retired veteran that limps around and wheels in a wheelchair and his guts are in a bag because he fought for his God and his country? I mean, where do you draw the line on what love is and what love is not? You go to the graveyard and you look at all the martyrs of the heart and all the men that have given their lives for God and country, and then you come up and say, well, where did Charlie go wrong? Did Charlie go wrong? Or was the ocean of the spiritual movement in the world to bring change into this planet, did it start way before Charlie was born and everybody else is wrong? And could you say that Hitler was right, that when he got out of prison he woke up that everybody was buying and selling life and there was no one there? It was just a bunch of hamburgers in the butcher shop, a bunch of meat hanging up, because the United States can't even kill their own cows. They got to import people to kill the cows. They don't have enough fucking soul to change and help their own children. They can't even forgive their own children. They'll let the fucking world bring people and empty prisons from India, empty prisons from Cuba, from Latin America, from Puerto Rico. They empty prisons from all over the world into the United States, and the United States can't even forgive their own children for doing exactly what they raised them up to do. They want to blame Manson for being the father of their children. The president of the United States is supposedly the father of us all. He's supposedly the leader of, well, you convict me for the leader of the family and then give Nixon immunity. You know, he killed a lot more people than Charlie did. You know, if Charlie was capable of doing something like that, wouldn't he be better in the White House than Nixon? Nixon wasn't capable of doing nothing but running faces and getting elected like he was doing something. The office is still there. You just keep changing faces with the same old monkey as if you didn't know we were all living in a zoo. Did you think the children don't know? They can't wake up and see that this world has got to change or there's going to be no life left. So the older people don't want to make room for their own children in their own minds, and they would rather give it to some foreign corporation where they're selling their 10-year-old pussy in Hong Kong on the street corner and then buying and selling drugs from the generals and the military in Cambodia, and they want to be the leaders of some Indian in the rainforest, man, because they can't even hold their own mud with their own forest. They're cutting down all the trees of this country. This country was a rainforest. And then they want to blame somebody else for something. You know, how does that cut back to your heart? How does that make you feel? Do you have any confidence in the world that you were raised in? Do you believe in the people that took you to school and taught you the things that you believe in? When you know the truth is that they're all lying anyway. And then you'll have them goddamn monkeys jumping down in the street singing that motherfucking rap shit, telling you about something that they heard and they was only catching it from right on, that was giving it up from your children laying down in the gutters dying, trying to hold your motherfucking ass up while some egotistical punk wants to be a rock and roll star, you know, by using your divorce court and the misery that you create with your own fucking kids, you know. So how are you going to count that back and say that you belong to somebody? You can't belong to anyone. The spirit and the soul of the Second World War is what you're rolling in. I'm already rolling back to the First World War. I'm over here in the Confederate graveyard. In fact, I'm deeper than the Indians. I'm in the mounds now. I'm in the mounds looking around at the ground saying, how can I save these bugs? If I could save the bugs and the birds and the goddamn bushes, if I could save a few snakes and some rabbits and a coyote and maybe a wolf or two and maybe a bear or a deer, I could probably find some place to live in between that. But as far as the humans are going, they're not going to let nobody live. They won't give no rights up in their courtroom unless they're scared of you, unless they're afraid of you. If they're scared of you and they think, and you're big and you're bad and you're tough and you got guns, they, oh, well, we like you. You're just a wonderful human being. But if they're not afraid of you and you're poor and you're honest and you're truthful and you got honor, all the honorable people are in the graveyards already. They don't have to worry about no honorable people. They're all dead. Even they train Oliver North to get up and lie to the world in the Marines uniform. After the Marines fought and our wars and died for us in all of our battles, then they get some fucking asshole like Oliver North to get up and lie in front of the whole fucking world and then wear a Marine's uniform in the court with a lie in his mouth. A real Marine would have knocked his brains out because he had no right in that uniform after lying. When you lie in the uniform, I don't give a fuck what uniform it is. If you lie in that uniform, you're going to lose your uniform sooner or later. That's probably what they're doing over in Grenada and all them island countries. They're probably giving up the chain of command to Africa. And then you can have Wendy Mandela over here telling you how the moon's going to shine with Jesse Jackson when he tells you in church that he's lying and faking and double dealing about some white whore on the goddamn street corner with some black Muslim wearing a white hat talking about he's somebody's daddy and he's the original man. Circumvent biology and chemistry from Norway and find out why the doctor's over there helping those people when he can't even help his own up out of the goddamn penitentiary. The fountain of the world is all the water of the planet. We're going to have no water unless we throw away them feather rivers. In other words, when he woke up when they put that first feather river in, when they put the first Feather River project in and brought all that water out of the desert, they started destroying the state of California. Hollywood's destroying the state of California. They're taking all the water off the land. you take all the water off the land, you can't get precipitation going up in the sky. There's no bugs. There's no birds. All the birds and bugs are dying. You take all the water holes and put them in a pipe, where in the hell's the water at? You got a pipe going down, dumping off into the ocean, and all the water's being used up. You got no nature. You got no land. You got no. God's not there anymore. It's just there's no soul in it. So when he seen that, his fountain turned off. He had a big fountain that was the fountain of the world. When his fountain turned off, this beautiful man put himself in a house with a whole bunch of other people, laid his protest up on the wheel, and blew everybody up. He sacrificed himself for that water, for those trees and wildlife, and he left a message behind that the only way the world was going to survive is we've got to get to the water. You got to fix the water, man. We're screaming with our fucking lives, man. You got to fix the water. It's not a question of whether you want to fix the water. You've got to fix the water. The water's our spirit. The water's our mother. If we don't have no life in the water, what the hell are we going to do with money? What are we going to buy and sell if we got no water to drink? But nobody gives a fuck about the water. They would rather worry about the money. They say, well, if we give up our money, then we'll starve to death. Well, yeah, a whole bunch of you's going to starve to death. You're going to die anyway. There's billions of people going to die. It's already in the movement. It's a Holocaust. And rather than tell the people that a Holocaust is coming, they're a bunch of liars who tell them that the Holocaust happened in 1944. That's bullshit. A war is not a Holocaust. God's war against man is a Holocaust, not man's war against man. You dig? So the reality of the Holocaust, man, is not in the movies. The reality of the Holocaust is all in dead fish that you see in the ocean. It's when you go over and you see where the forest used to be, there's a shopping mall. Where the lake used to be, there's a goddamn fucking drive-in. Where the freeway is, there used to be a creek and a river. And where prisons are, used to be lakes. So all the prisons are in your lake beds where there used to be. It took nature 50,000 years to put the beginning of a lake here. It took man and the bulldozer 5 years to tear it up. So we're tearing up all the land. We're tearing up all the precipitation. We're eating up all the goddamn fucking resources to where there's going to be no energy. No energy left, no resources left, nobody left. So, 1,000 people in this ship. And there ain't going to be that many people survive it anyway. You dig? So how many people do you want to live in the world that you live in? You don't have to let all them people live in the world you live in. If you get up and you do a good job, I used to get up on the stage and I do a good job and they all, man, would be jealous. They want to get up on the stage and push me off. They'd want to fight me. They'd want to bite me and pull on me and grab me. They want to pull me to pieces and tear me to pieces, man, because they want to be me so bad they don't want to let me be myself. I have to run and hide in the desert. It wasn't that Manson turned. It's that you guys turn, see. Here's the perception. You think the Grateful Dead was the hippies. The Grateful Dead wasn't hippies. All the people that got busted in the 40s were the hippies. The Pachucos were hippies. All the guys that used to smoke grass in the 40s and 50s all went to prison and suffered. And then the upper middle class people come out and found that what they were doing was cool, so they started doing what was cool and started using our language and rapping our rap and talking our talk and walking our walk and growing our hair and growing our beards and then coming back from the beatnik land like they were hippies, like they had come up on something new. Then they sacrificed all the beatniks and that created the hippies. Then they sacrificed all the hippies and that come up the yippies. And every time it gets right up to where the Jew's supposed to sacrifice himself for what he's preaching, and the people that are in the peace movement are supposed to make moves so they can have peace, they all turn back to war and get uniforms and get crew cuts and go to Wall Street and say, well, we done growed up now. We're not hippies no more. We're dippies or slippies or what do they call them? Yippies. We're yippies now. All the yippies were hippies that didn't want to stay with what they were saying. They were saying they wanted this change and they wanted to stop the war, and all the Joan Baez's and all the motherfucking Patty Hearses and all them fucking asshole bitches that in the movies like that Jane Fonda and all them fucking dizzy-ass fucking witches, they wanted to change the world, but when the children that were living up underneath that dogma turned to change the world, then they fucked up and said, well, that was all Charlie's fault. Charlie did that. Charlie got all those children in trouble. He brainwashed all those children to do that, but Joan Baez and all them Nancy Sinatra and all them ass witches, these boots are made for walking all over your ass, you dig? So then they come back with all that motherfucking horse shit and say that I was the brainwash capital of the world when they were doing that long before I came on the set. I had been in Mexico City, man. I had been living down in Mexico City, and when I got busted, I hadn't even been on the streets of the United States of America for over 10 years. You know, well, almost 10 years, a 10-year sentence, about 7, 8 years. So then when I came back, they said I introduced everybody to acid. I didn't even know what the fuck acid was until 67, 68. Some kid on the street corner gave me a tab of acid, man. And I didn't know what the fuck that shit was, you know. I'm not a generation of the 60s. I'm a generation of the 40s, the 50s. And they try to make me into a generation of the 60s. I appreciate those kids, man. I thought they did right. I thought they did good. I really did. They sacrificed themselves and gave themselves to stop a war that they didn't want to be responsible for. You know, they did what they felt they had to do. And I didn't say they was wrong. You know, I didn't judge them. I just walked along with them, man. I was their friend, and I was their brother, and I'm still their friend and their brother, you know. And everybody wants to blame me because they don't have enough brains to take responsibility for the things that they don't know. And all the cowards and fakes and phonies, they keep covering me up and won't let me present what I know about the situation. Like Vincent Bugliosi was supposed to do an interview with Donahue, right? So Vincent gets this black woman and calls this black woman and says, yeah, he wants to do the interview with me, you dig? Then he gets everybody interested in both of us doing the interview. Then he pulls back and says, no, he doesn't want to do the interview now. He won't face me. He runs. He runs and he hides. He got these cops to squirt me down with hoses and hide me and try to get me pushed over the tier. Well, see, here's the thing, man. Like, there's a subconscious thought in prison that you guys don't understand. There are levels of awareness. And all the masters of the world, like the Lama and the Booby Bops and all them guys, they say there's only 7 levels. But there's 8 levels of awareness. And the 8th level is that you don't tell. You can't tell what the 8th level is because there's only one on it. They have a Section 8 in the Army discharge that's called crazy. You know, that's the center of the vortex of all the intelligence of the military, and that's the majesty of the king. When you resurrect majesty and you get majesty rolling in a bunch of programmed brains, all those programmed brains start going crazy. They start freaking out. They freak out and go crazy. They go insane. In other words, they go so insane that you can't really maintain any sanity around it because there's no pattern in it. They lose the patterns in their minds, and they all go ape shit. They just can't deal with it, you dig? So it's the same thing when you come into a soulful movement that's righteously in the soul, that's not bullshit, that's not all this goody two-shoe up and down for a piece of pussy shit. You dig? You're talking with God, and you're singing with God, and you're playing music to God and for God. That God opens up a hole, and that hole is not the womb. The womb covers the hole, but the hole is it's a bigger hole than the womb of woman. It's a hole in the universe. It's a hole in the mind. It's a hole in the soul. And then all the kids go back to, baby, won't you light my fire? And all those programs that are set in those heads all start going crazy. Everybody's mind is going, and no one ever heard anything else but, and they're all walking down a yellow hallway. And all of a sudden, they turn a door, and the door opens up, and they got a totally green and red hallway, and everything's going, and you go into the red and green hallway, and you say, wow, man, and your head starts going through, and then all of a sudden, man, you're thrown in a totally red world, and it's going, and then after you go through all these different levels, and you come out and you see God in you, and God is all around you, and God is everything, and you are everything, and everything is a part of you. And then you say this, And you know this, and you feel this, and you have this in your soul and in yourself, you dig? And it just scares the shit out of everybody, and everybody gets to running, and they get to hating you, and they think you're bad, and then they want to kill you because they feel if they kill you, then they don't have to think about this anymore because they don't want to face this level of reality. They don't want to see that everything that they know is just crumbling before them, and they have no thoughts in their minds, that their minds weren't really their minds anyway. It was just a reflection of somebody else's mind. It was a reflection of somebody else's mind. If you wasn't in behind a mirror somewhere, there was going to be no life left in that perspective because it was all going just totally fucking insane. And the only thing that was holding it up was some Oriental motherfucker in Hong Kong who was holding up the gold market, who was over there selling and buying something in Las Vegas for a pot of glue on the back where they were trying to catch some birds, you dig? So it gets so fucking loose and so goose, mothers has killed their friends and then thrown babies in the fucking gutter, and then some fucking dog killed a goose and someone says let's feed it to him in potato chips, you dig? In other words, it just goes around where it's just beyond conception of any human pattern behavior. Years ago in prison, man, prison was only to give a man a chance to start all over. It was Christian justice to give a man a chance to be reborn. And the Salvation Army and all them good people would always give us Christmas packages and give us a chance to get back and give us a chance to help come back to society and do right. But they've lost sight of right. They don't even come and do it. They don't even help nobody. They just lock everybody up and wait for them to come out and burn them up again, man. And they're creating this fire that's going all over the world. They're burning themselves up because they won't do what Jesus told them to do. You know, simple, simple, simple. You know, if you want to survive, just get in line. If you don't want to survive, then you got anarchy rolling. Now, which you want to roll with? Do you want to roll with total destruction, or you want to get some order going, you know? So with me, it don't really matter because I got my own little place in my mind beyond all those things that you guys are doing. You know, I can play on any level that you're dealing. Any level you're dealing, I got to dance in a game for it, you know, because I've been through all that insanity. If you want to give me my rights, then you get your authority back in your judge. If you don't want to give me my rights, then there ain't going to be no rights. And if you don't want any rights, that's okay too, because I never had any rights anyway. You know, I was just walking with what you say, you know. Like, I didn't need what you said. I always said what I said, and I never really told anybody what that was. I always kept that to myself, because I'm a hillbilly. I live up in the mountains. I make moonshine. I got a long gun, and I shoot a long ways, and I'm God in the holler. I let the woman go to church, gives her something to do, you know, but I know who God is. You know, and I know who Jesus is, and I know who the devil is, and I don't really need anything on the flatland because the mountain holds a life. But when the mountains are dying, then I got to come down from the mountains, and I got to go into the flatland, and I got to put the balance in the flatland to keep the motherfuckers from stripping mine and taking down the goddamn trees to where there's nothing left of it, you know. So that's where I've been for the last 40 years, where my uncle sent me. My Uncle Jess told me, don't go to them schools, boy, keep your own mind. He said, the mountains here are dying. You got to go down there and get it. I'm just one little kid. He said, well, it's just one little world. Get on about it. Do it. You ain't got no choice. So it's the same thing I say to you, you know. You got to stand it up and do right with it and get it in line or you ain't got nothing left. It's that simple, you know. You say, well, you want to wait till it gets to you, and it's already got to me, and I've already passed it on through you, you know. And whatever you and me is just two words that somebody else is playing because I'm already in the zoo looking at you, you know. So if you don't want to come back to that, and the guy said, oh, look at him, Charlie talks like them guys. And he said, well, no, them guys have been talking like Charlie, but you've been holding Charlie upside down all his life to where they catch up on catch can, come back and say what I am, say they invented that, and then break through New York, say that they was doing that too. Because that was insanity for somebody else that didn't understand me. And there was no you. It's a female goat, unless I say the level that I exist on, you know. That's in the one of my horse. And I got 83 horses right now. So I got 83 heads in that one thought and about 6,000 waffins behind my noose. Yeah, that's why I put that thing on my forehead so you could all see it. Look at it real good. I got 6,000 dudes hanging behind that. who wouldn't surrender their words, who wouldn't surrender their honor, who wouldn't surrender their nobility. I'm not surrendering my soul, our Father who art in heaven. I'm not surrendering my father. I'm not giving up my dad, you know. My dad drinks Scotch whiskey, plays bagpipes, and does what he wants to do. You know, I ain't gonna surrender that. And they say, well, your dad's dead. I said, my dad never died, man. There ain't no such thing as death. That's a stupid play for women. Men don't ever die. They never did die. Yeah, ain't no doubt about it, man. You do something in your imagination, and then your mama tells you that's your memory. And you say, well, I thought I was there. And no, you couldn't have been there. Well, I couldn't have, because I say you could. Well, who the fuck are you to tell me where I could have or I couldn't have? I remember I was standing there, and I got shot, and I fell down, and I was bleeding. And I thought, oh, this is what death is. And I just bled off into nothing, man. And then I remember walking through a field, and I came back up, and I could see all these people shooting at each other. And I walked over to them, and they said, well, what are you doing here? I said, I'm going over to get some chicken over there on Sunset Boulevard, man. Maybe I can get back down to where I was before I was interrupted. Because all the people that interrupted me are really in trouble with the Holy Ghost. The Holy Spirit, that is a reality, you know. They call him the devil, but he's the Holy Spirit, you know. The guy who's going to name this recording company a devil?
A white devil.
Yeah. Well, I always thought that was Abaraxis. I wrote Hess a letter right before he died, and he never answered me the letter, but he sent me a word. And the word he sent me, he gave me a name. He said I was Abaraxis. He sent me that. He said that was who I was. He gave me that name. And when he left on harmonic conversion, that when the universe was changing there, he left right then. And like when he left there, the radio was still plugged in because I could still hear the radio, and I had that radio. I carried it down from death row, and then I loaned it to a kid, and he lost it, so I had to get it back. So I went through a lot of changes to get it back. So in fact, I just gave a guy $10 to fix the speaker on it for me. Now. That's been an old thought in China, and the Orient had been up on that for a long time. Did you know Bill Vance was heavyweight champion in Brushy Mountain? 9 years he ruled the roughest penitentiary, or one of the roughest prisons in the United States. Brushy Mountain, Tennessee, heavyweight champion, Bill Vance. That wasn't his real name, no. I don't think no one knew his real name. He had about 25 names. Every time I met him, he was somebody else. But that's the way we do it where I live. I used to be Charlie Deer, Mr. Deer, like the tractor. And then I was Bill Thomas, Luther Maddox, William Sargent, Bartlett. I've been a lot of different guys, man. Riff Raff, Rackus. I think Riff was my favorite name. Royal Air Force. yeah. See, my rainbow goes all the way back to World War I. Don't Son of the Apple Tree, Kate Smith, and all them guys. In prison, all the convicts tell these people what they want to hear. Because if you say something they don't want to hear, they'll lock you up in the hole and accuse you of scaring them. So all these fucking guys and all these people that work in the administration and the law procedure, they don't have any fucking idea what's really going on, because you can't tell them what's going on, because their minds can't even deal with what's going on. So you have to say, hello, Mr. Joe, how you doing? Sure, good today. How did you do that? Well, aren't you wonderful? You're just such a beautiful guy. You think, oh, I noticed you gained a little weight. How's the wife? You can't tell them that they're out there in the bushes just taking it off and doing what the fuck ever they want to do when no one's looking. You can't tell them that they're turning out books and matches and people are getting out and just setting this motherfucker on fire because they won't get right in the basement, you dig? So you see, the world is coming to an end, and you want to make a Holocaust back to 1941. That's not a Holocaust. That was man's war against man. That's not God's war against man. God is in everything, you know. We need to fix the water. We need to help the damn trees. We need to stop the fucking pollution. We need to stop them damn automobiles and do a lot more walking. Get back to bicycles. Quit using paper. Quit wiping your ass with the trees. Quit wasting all the fucking paper, man. Take the best of technology and use that technology to help the nature and help life get back to itself, you dig? Rather than try to put a man on the moon, let's try to put a man down on Earth. Let's try to get someone back to the planet, back to the stagecoach. In other words, like, we can go backwards in time and run like crazy, like our heads are on fire. Did you notice my head was on fire? You know, I got burned up. I got burned up for telling a guy the truth. He didn't like it. He didn't want to hear that, you know. Well, I was trying to get an inside track on some authority, see, but there don't seem to be any authority in the police. I think it's all... When the black Muslims found out there was nobody there, they started calling them pigs because they couldn't find no people. So all the people had retired. See, everybody retired, and then everybody retired, and everybody retired again, and everybody retired again. And you can't seem to find anyone that can make a decision without somebody worried about what someone else is thinking or someone else is saying, and somebody else is retired. And then when Rodney King jumps up and sues Gates, then Gates jumps over and says, well, at least we got Manson locked up. And he finds reassurance in me being destroyed every day. And he finds reassurance in cutting my fucking nuts off every day. Like that's going to help him. You know, he's cutting his own fucking stupid fucking balls off. Ignorant asshole. You know, so I don't know what to say about it. Ain't much I can do. You know, but just keep on with what I know and the people that I know and that are the ones that are with me and helping, you know. Anything that anyone does that's new is against the law. They wanted to write me up and put me in the hole, and the guy said, well, what has he done? He hasn't done any wrong. Well, there must be something wrong here. We just don't know what it is. He can't do that. OJ does it. Everybody else gets to do it. Why can't he do it? Well, he can't do it because they're, and they don't know why. It's just, I can't do it because no one wants to let me live, because they're all suicidal. They want someone to send them to heaven. They want to go to heaven with their dead God, man. You know, I filed an appeal for a trial. I still didn't get to put on my rights. I didn't even get to put on a defense, guy. And I just filed a habeas corpus to put on a defense, and they denied that, you know. So I don't know. I'm just going to throw it on the trash can. They did anything they want. And there was a DA, like, they'd be talking a lot of shit. I'd say, why are you prejudicing the people with that? He said, well, we got to do it to write a book. I said, write a book? He said, what do you mean? He said, well, if it goes out through the courtroom, then it's part of the public record, and we can use it to write a book. All them lawyers were doing it, were writing books. Every lawyer there wrote a book. Witness to Evil, Five to Die, Susan Atkins' Confession, Helter Skelter. Everybody there wrote a book. They wrote The Family, all them other books that they wrote, Garbage People. All them lawyers wrote books. The Korean lawyer was flying to Japan and selling the transcripts to Japanese movie companies, and they were making them samurai movies. The family of samurai movies. Yeah, in other words, they opened up a whole house of samurai over there with that. That's when they come over to interview me in Vacaville. Well, truthfully, I don't have the education to do that. I need help for that. And I can't get the right help because when I tried to do it, that Emmons run off and wrote his own book. Then he said it was Manson in his own words. It wasn't my words, it was his words. And I've known him for 17, 18 years. And then he got a little bit from other friends of mine, and he just put it together, the rest of it for himself, you know, and made it up. And I got other things to do. See, I don't have access to this phone like I should. In other words, I only got access to this phone just a little bit. And then when I do get on, then I got some monkey-headed motherfucker cutting me off all the time. And then they got all kinds of little drag-ups and rules and regulations that don't amount to anything, that somebody made just so they could feel like they were important about something, you dig? That really has no reason for them. It's just a maze of things that people have done and made and built, and then they retired. And then they make a whole bunch more, and then they retire. And then they create a whole bunch more madness, and then they retire. So pretty soon everybody that's done all this and got all this fucking thing locked down have already retired. They've already gone. And we're sitting here in the shadows of people that are already dead. You know, that's why some of them prison gangs that are getting outside and running that shit outside call themselves the Crips. Crips are really all over everywhere, man, because the people are waking up to the graves. They're waking up that the people that are alive are not really alive. They're the dead ones. The people that made up this goddamn game are already dead. The people that are living in the game that is made up, they're only programmed to it. They're programmed through school and their mother's fear. They're programmed through bullshit. They're not even here. They're only a programmed pattern in their brain, like a robot, man. Like they're Robocop. You know, like they got all these Robocops just running around, just play acting the games that other people retired with, and you know, it's gone, man. It doesn't exist. And there was penitentiary that they don't even know what the hell they got a penitentiary for, or why a penitentiary's for. They think a penitentiary's to lock people up, and then they say no, a penitentiary's to punish someone, and then they're not sure, and then they're splitting their attitudes, and they all put on suits and get in circles and put on faces and lie to each other. They're not telling the truth about anything. Truth is that they're just bullshitting themselves. They give you parole one day and take it back the next. You know, in other words, then they change the rules, and then they change the rules to change the rules with. Now they want to come back and take away the rules that we fought to change. And then we fight for a group of people to help bring change and off the oppressor, and get him off to where we can get out of the oppression. And then these other motherfuckers that were fighting for the oppression join the oppressors, and then they come back doing the same goddamn thing, only worse. It's just a circle suck of bullshit, you know, and it's all doomed to destruction because no one will give it a chance to live. I got a thing down south I've been working on that might come true. A couple of dreams and a couple of... You know, it's hard to make a reality. You know, everybody's stuck in the realities that are already made and locked in the movies that have already perpetrated those realities, you know. It's like when I got out, I went to Universal Studios, and this Hebrew producer told me he wanted me to help him write the music for a movie about the second coming of Christ. He told me that he wanted me to play music with a guy from South Africa and another guy from Africa. And I told him, man, my uncle would shoot me for doing that. I said, no, I don't play music like that, you know. So then he blackballed me from the music system and then burned all my music up because I wouldn't go along with his trip, see. So what he was doing is he was using the black people on one side of town to play his music and make money, and then he had a Hebrew woman with kids on the other side of town that he was giving the money to. In other words, and I said, oh, you got a little double thing going here, you know. You want to call people racist if they don't use people. I said, I don't use black people. I said, because if I use people, then I'm used by people. So I don't want to be used by anyone, so therefore I'm not going to use anyone, you know. So we had a big thing there, you know, and like, I was going to shoot him, but then I thought, well, if I shoot him, I'll go back to the penitentiary, and I didn't want to shoot him, you know, because I didn't want to go back to jail. So I went through some changes, and I lost the music there, and then the Beach Boys gave it back to me, you know. See, the music is mine all the way back to divorce court in 1953, 54. But people keep stealing it because I don't have any backup. I don't have a brotherhood that I'm supposed to have that weighs goes because they use the money for a brother like this. I was supposed to do an interview with Ireland. Ireland came back to the interview with Donahue. I was supposed to do an interview with Donahue. Vincent Bugliosi, the Italian, calls a black woman who works with Donahue and tells her that him and I are going to do this interview. You dig? Then he tells her that he doesn't think the interview would be a good idea and he doesn't want to do the interview. So they cut the interview back. He finessed it away from Donahue by using the black woman. Because now that they've used the black man to play man for all the women, and then all the women found out that they were not the man, that they were just shadows of the man. And they were shadows of the reality created by the man. Now they're coming back that this is the woman for the man. In other words, they'll do anything but do right, unless you've got someone out there that makes them do right. And when you've got someone out there that makes them do right, then they have to pay you what they owe you. And when they pay you what they owe you, you own the unions already. The Brotherhood and all the unions belong to, well, James Mason dropped the ball. He dropped the ball. Boyd dropped the ball. Boyd gave his whole generation of people up so he could be a rock and roll singer. He had the whole thing, man, if he wanted to move it, but he didn't. He talked to me more like a black pimp. I think somebody scared him. I think some Negroes scared him or something. He sounded like he was afraid of Negroes, you know. All those kids that did all those things they did in the 60s, I never directed traffic, but I did influence a lot of people in a lot of ways, you know. And I don't think they were bad ways. I think they were perfect. I think things are the way they are because that's the way they're supposed to be. If it wasn't that way, then it would be different. You know, we just got to keep working for the change of that in order to realize that God comes through us as well as we are that in our own understanding as much as we can understand it. Does that communicate to you? You know, it's like you are whatever you are, and if you got no God, then, you know, I mean, you're beating yourself out of something, you know. I mean, even if you make it a rubber band, you know, it's still, you know, it's just a word anyway. You know, so you say, all right, God of sun, the God of moon, the God of rain, God of more gods you got, the better it is, you know. It's like you take everything for God and then say God is everything and everything is God, and that's me because I'm perceiving that. I'm conceiving that, and I'm believing in that. And if I believe in that, it's in me that I believe, so it has to be inside of me, you know. So I have to look at me first and get me straightened around, and the guy says, well, then you're prejudiced because you're against us. I said, I'm not against anyone. I'm for me. If I can get me straightened around, I get me in order, then I'll deal with you. But until I can get me in perspective, you dig, how in the hell can I deal with anyone else? Because it's my world. It's my world, and I've worked to straighten it out. And I've straightened it out in my world, in my mind, around the world 3 times. I got all my children back on the road. I got all my stuff straightened around as much as possible, you dig? And I'm still working on one world. I'm still working on a one world government. I'm still working on a one world economy. I'm still working on a one world army. I'm still working on a one world everything, you know. One world computer, put all them computers together and come up and put the calculations of all the atmospheric problems we have, ozones, bones, and all that, and put it up on that damn computer, and then ask for the readout, and you'll find out I'm right. And then you find out we got to eliminate a whole lot of numbers on a lot of different levels. You know, we got to scratch out some old programs and put in some balances for those programs. You know, because our minds are capable of thinking in forever, just like a computer thinks in forever, right? Yeah, and you can't lie. If you lie in one of them, you lose the program, right? Well, then I'm a computer. Then I'm your computer, you know. I'm hooked right into your computer. Your computer's me and I'm it. We can both think in forever. Because I think in forever. I'm standing here in eternity right now, man. And then when I start talking that shit in the 60s, everybody said, oh, this crazy old fucking hillbilly, man. You can't think in eternity. I said, what do you mean I can't? I've been doing it all my life, you dig? And then this Hindu comes and tells me, wow, you must clear your mind and not have any thought at all. Then you'd be next to God. I said, well, I must be next to God because where I'm from, they call that stupid. You know, I mean, I've been stupid all my life, man. I don't think nothing, you know. I don't want to think anything. You know, if I start thinking something, then I have to go to school and, you know, put it in pattern. I ain't got no pattern in my mind. I'm pattern without pattern. You know, I'm beyond the pattern, you know. So the computer still goes beyond the pattern. I can take a couple more steps up. I can take that computer a little further out, compute all that data in the atmosphere and how many square inches of atmosphere and how much pollution we're putting into that atmosphere and how much we need so many trees to keep combating that pollution and rejuvenating that life support system. Here's my thought. I want to take a nuclear submarine and turn it inside out. You put all the computer on the life support systems. You got to have air and water. You turn the computer inside out and make the world the submarine and then work for your life support systems. Put life support systems on the computer as being the primary function. If you don't have any life support system, that's it. It's over. There's two brotherhoods that run the military. The brotherhood of the martial arts on the conflict on the ground floor, and the brotherhood who has the gun. In other words, without the brotherhood, you don't have no army, you don't have no government, you don't have no church, you don't have nothing. Because you have to have two to have one. If you don't have two, you don't have one. It takes a line. You have to draw a line. It used to be in the prison, it was called a main line. And the captain walks on one of the lines, you dig, and he does not lie. Because he realizes that if he lies, he dies. It's that simple. He loses everything if he lies. So he must keep the rules, and he must keep his word, you dig? This is the thing they've lost. They lost that with James Mason, see? It comes down to the last man in line with the gun. And then they put the swastika right underneath the gun. And that's supposed to be representing to the brotherhood. All right, that's the brotherhood of the gun. You got one down on the ground, and then you got one covered with the gun. Then where we lost ours is like the guy with the gun said here, he passed the knife down and says, we can't deal with these dudes here. You go deal with those dudes. You say, okay. So he picked up the knife and he went and he dealt with the dudes. He dealt with everything that needed to be dealt with. Then the guy said, all right, pass me the knife back. So he passed the knife back, and when he passed the knife back, he gave it to the other side. He went over to the other side and gave it to them and put them back on himself, thinking that was really cool. And he lost his brotherhood. That's the reason that thing fell off the bottom of that gun. He lost his swastika and he lost his brotherhood for lying, because he thought it was a big joke to stab somebody in the back. They just took a life for him. If somebody's given their life for you and they're going into the battlefield for you, you can't very well laugh at them when they come back. If a man's over in Vietnam and he's over there in the mud and the blood and he's fighting and dying for you, and then you come over and you spit in his face, what kind of fucking country could that be? Yeah. You know, so it's the same thing all the way down the line. All the way down the line, people think it's slick to get over on somebody else because they're in a down position. And they find their strength by sacrificing their own lambs. But they're not sacrificing the lambs of their enemies. They're only sacrificing their own children. They're sacrificing their children for somebody else's children. My grandfather told me this. He didn't tell me exactly, but he told my grandmother, and I know she never lied. He told my grandmother that he was standing in World War I, he was standing on a dead body. And he seen a Bible in this guy's pocket. And he reached down and he got the Bible out of this guy's pocket. And he opened up the Bible, and there was the man's picture with his wife and his 3 children, you dig? And he had a chain with a cross on it, and he looked at the Bible, and he looked at the man's children, he looked at the cross, and he looked down his seen himself. He said, wow, man, what am I doing fighting my brother? I'm over here fighting my brother, and I don't even know why I'm fighting this guy. You dig? Why have we been fighting each other? Why are we divided? Why is our house all split up in little pieces? Why are we divided within ourselves? We worship the same God. We have the same books, the same words, different translations, but the same principles. We live by the same codes of honor. And why in the hell are we fighting each other? Why did my grandfather kill himself? He comes back and tells my grandmother, you know, I was fighting my brothers, and I don't even know why. And they didn't know why. You want me to tell you why? Jew. They're slick. They put you against yourself. And then they kick back and they'll Charlie Chaplin. They'll ride on you. They'll ride on you till there's nothing left of you and sell your blood all the way. They'll sell war from one door. They'll buy and sell guns out of one door. And the next door, they'll sell love and peace. And they'll agree with everyone and swear to God that everything's just perfect for a dollar bill. They'll go right back into the money. And the money's not their money. Now that they've got their own country, before they didn't have their own country. They didn't have their own money. The only way they could live is in somebody else's economy. They had to scrub for nickels, scrub for dimes, you dig? Save every little thing they could get, save every little rag, you dig? They were oppressed, beat, fucked over, misused, and then when they get in an up position, they do the same thing down on other people that have been done to them. It's like a circle of oppression. People become oppressed going one way, and then when they come back, they get oppressed going back the other way. We oppress all these people and make them do all of our bad things, and then they grow up and they get stronger, and it makes them stronger, and then they come back on top of us and push us down and make us do all those things, and then we get stronger, and then we come back around. And it's every race and every people have had their turn. Everyone has been the bad guy. Everybody's been the good guy. Everybody's had to turn around the fucking maypole. Now it's time to put one world together. It's time to put one government together, one economy together, and put it in order. Because if we don't, there's going to be no atmosphere left. There's going to be no trees left. There's going to be no wildlife left. We're not going to have anything. Because the money's tearing up everything. They're fishing out the ocean to where it's just going to be a cesspool. There's going to be nothing left in the ocean but a bunch of goddamn fucking pollution and piss and junk that we're dumping our tons and tons of garbage. See, here's the thing you don't realize, man. You're not old enough to realize how many people that 900 million people are. If just 200 million people, 300 million people, if you fill up a ballpark and you see 50,000 people, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of turds. That's a lot of piss and shit to go over in the water. Just 50,000 people. Now, fill it up 3 times a day. That's 200,000 people, 150,000 people. Now fill them up every day for 7 days. You dig? That's 650,000 people. And then pretty soon, man, it would take you 6 lifetimes to see all them people. I mean, can you visualize that many people? Or are you thinking on the little level of the people you've seen so far? Or do you give a fuck? What are you going to do with all them people? Keep lying to them and telling them they got a constitution when they don't? Keep telling them everything's going to be all right? Just keep cutting the trees down and keep doing the same old shit that they're doing? Just so you can survive another day? Or are you going to tell them the truth? Man, you're all a bunch of doomed assholes. All you motherfuckers are killing yourselves, and you're killing everything around you with the shit you're doing. You're overindulging in the resources. You're dumping all that shit in the water, that pollution in the water, soap in the water, slop in the water, bleach in the water. All that shit you're putting in the water, man, it's got to come back to you in your drink. You got to drink that shit. A dog got better sense of pissing their own water, you know. So how you get them out of the water? How you get them out of quit pissing in the water? Quit shitting and puking and throwing their blood and their junk and their Kotexes and their fucking floor wax and their bleaches and their goddamn fly sprays and all that shit. going down in the toxic dump. We're just one big fucking toxic dump. Now you try to face it and do something about it or stop it, and then they call you a criminal, lock you up in the nut ward. Do you know how many people have been sacrificed in this very same thought? How many people have jumped up on the freeway and tried to stop all the automobiles? Wounded 8 or 10, 12, maybe 15 people, killed maybe 6 or 7 people, went to court and got designated nuts and went to the nut ward and hung themselves and died, trying to stop the damn fucking machine. And it's just, you know, and everybody covers it up and lies about it and goes on about it and don't want to look at it, you know, and like as if it doesn't exist, you know, that everything's going to be all right, you know. I don't know. I just reflect like the mirror, you know. And like, if it all just goes down the shitter, it really doesn't affect me because I live like a bug anyway. See, well, you know, I live over on the road. I live on the campfire, you know. I'm a hobo, man, by all means. I'm really a hobo, you know, in the fullest extent. Because I live in a sleeping bag, man. I don't even need that. You know, I'm pretty free. But I do love the earth. And I wish there was some way that I could have some influence on how to fix it, how to straighten it out.